While homesick in bed, a young boy's grandfather reads him the story of a farm boy turned pirate who encounters numerous obstacles, enemies, and allies in his quest to be reunited with his true love. The Princess Bride is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. This week we are talking The Princess Bride. My name is George McHale. I'm a comic book writer. I'm joined by Andrew Buckley, novelist, GMB Kamichuk, writer, illustrator, comic book maker, all-around good dude, and Murphy, editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing and the head writer over there. Thank you everyone for being on the show. Let's get into The Princess Bride. What do we like about it? What's the good?
It's the most quoted movie in history, which helps it out a lot. But half of my good list for this thing is literally just listing the characters and the actors because they're so fucking good. Christopher Guest as Count Rugen is like the most chill psychopath of them all. He's so calm and so nice. He's like, I just sucked a year of your life apart. Or when he's talking to Humperdinck, where it's like, oh, if you haven't got your health, you don't have anything. Like, he was so calm, how he delivered all his lines. And Mel Smith as the albino, Billy Crystal and Carol Kane as Miracle Max and his wife. Man, they were just so good. And Peter Cook, this is my favorite Peter Cook role, and he was only in it for like 3 minutes. Where he's doing like, wow, wow. So good. Marriage is what brings us together today. So good.
Well, and I mean, we can't not talk about André. I mean, this was, I didn't know him from wrestling or, any of that stuff. So this was like my introduction to him. And this is who he'll always be in my mind. And it's this big, lovable guy that's also pretty fucking scary. Like, he's so good and he's so believable in his strength that he could just like knock Westley out and then just like, okay, come on, let's keep going. Like he's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, no, I love Fezzik, and he's like, anybody want a peanut? And he's like the creator of rap, like right at the beginning on the boat there with all his rhymes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this guy is like
no
amazing.
More rhymes now. I mean it, George. Can I just say that Miss Stanger and Mr. Kellett, my grade 5-6 teachers who had a shared homeroom, they are the ones that first wheeled in the television on one of those metal carts and put in The Princess Bride for us to watch as 2 shared classrooms. And maybe 4 kids paid attention to that movie. And I was one of those 4 kids. Everyone else was just talking. It was a day. I think there was probably some crisis at the school. I don't know what that crisis was, but it was clear that they were like, oh my God, the TV has to teach you because everyone has to go somewhere for something important. So nobody paid attention except me. And I kept shushing people and being like, oh my gosh, ROUS is. And they're like, this movie's dumb. It's a dumb romance movie for girls is what people kept saying. And I was like, if it is, then I want to be a girl because this movie is amazing. And the best sword fight I had ever seen on screen. And to this day, it holds up pretty darn great as just the most entertaining steel on steel match. I'm pretty sure the few years I spent doing full weight fencing were as a result of watching too much Princess.
Yeah, I played this in the schoolyard. I don't know how many times as a child, that sword fight. And when I know so many dumbass facts about this movie, but like that was them fighting. They trained for like 6 months for a 1-minute sword fight. And then they showed Rob Reiner, and Rob Reiner was unimpressed and asked them to add extra to it. So it ended up becoming a 3-minute, 10-second fight scene, I think. And both those guys trained separately with Olympic fencing coaches. And finally, they choreographed out that whole thing. Took an entire week to shoot the sword fight. And it's so impressive. When he switches hands, I thought that was so badass.
Yeah, that was like a total surprise too. And he's like, well, I'm also left-handed or right-handed or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I actually had a pretty similar story to Greg though too. I watched The Princess Bride at school. Someone wheeled in the VHS TV monitor. I think it was Boys and Girls Club sort of thing, after school program. But I watched it there, and I was one of those kids fucking around, not really paying attention to how awesome this movie was. And it wasn't until like, quite a bit later when I met this is my wife's favorite movie. So she's like, oh, you got to watch this. I'm like, I've seen it. It's all right. And then I watched it as an adult, like for the first time, really like appreciating it. Because so I didn't really grow up with this movie. I was like, this is great, man. Like this is just mind-blowingly awesome. And she has like such a crush on like Westley.
Oh,
and I think it's kind of bullshit because like everything he says is like as you wish. And I'm like, isn't that just like every woman's like dream? Is like you give them like a honeydew list and they're just like, as you wish, as you wish. And I'm just like, man, it's my day off. I don't want to do this.
Oh, no. Okay, there's a really good lesson.
There's an alternate cut.
There's this thing that like, yes, all, you know, he's known for just saying as you wish, but at the beginning, like, you know, she told him to go away and as you wish. Like, it's kind of, there's a lesson to be had there that if that's the kind of relationship that you have, you're going to get all the things that you want and you're not going to end up where you want to be. And it's like, she had to learn that, and then he got an adventure through it. And also, yeah, he's hot. He's very, very hot. Oh man. I had a huge crush on him. I probably still have a huge crush on him. I will say though, that actor, it's so crazy that like now after being Westley in that movie, he keeps playing villains now. And I hate it. Like I can't wrap my head around it because I'm so used to him being Westley that it's like whenever I see him as a villain, there's a movie with Lindsay Lohan where he plays like her stepfather and he is a piece of shit. And I felt so betrayed because I believed him so much as Westley. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
My origin story with Princess Bride was slightly different in that I was sick one day, and that guy from Colombo came over to read me a story, and it was touching.
He was touching you?
No, it was touching. He wasn't touching me. Yeah, I was touched by Colombo. It was really fucking weird. It was, you know what? I saw it as a kid, and I've seen it a million times since, and it's a movie that does still hold up. Like it is quite literally an enjoyable freaking story. And I was totally taken in by the fact I didn't realize that it was written by William Goldman, the actual novel. I thought it was literally written by S. Morgenstern. And when I read the novel, I was like, it seems weird because it seems like it was, so this was edited by Goldman. It took me a while to actually figure it all out. But once I had it straight in my head, I was like, damn, Goldman is a talented motherfucker.
Yeah, didn't Goldman originally... Wasn't the story that he claimed it was a manuscript he had found?
Yep.
And registered it somehow with a lawyer so that he could claim. There's some plot twist in there where they created documents to suggest that the fake author was a real person and that Goldman had found this manuscript, which was too big, too bloated, and he edited it down to the good parts version of a much larger story.
Yeah, and then explained in the foreword all the parts that he cut out of it, because he thought it was kind of erroneous, but it was interesting. But it even explained it in the book. It was super interesting.
Which I think the nerd in me recognizes was him like sort of poking fun at the reverence people hold for Tolkien's work. But when people read it now, they're like, oh, well, isn't there a good parts version? You know, a lot of modern audiences are like, there's a lot of walking and talking about breakfast.
A lot of walking. Yeah.
Right? So I think it's part of that.
Well, whoever wrote this, though, is awesome. And if you want to be an amazing writer, I recommend checking out Wordsmith Academy. Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about this website?
Yeah, man. Wordsmithacademy.com is a writing resource website where we teach live classes. We have online self-paced classes. So if you're interested in writing, any kind of genre of writing, whether it's novel writing or creative writing or screenwriting or poetry, we have classes for all those different things taught by industry-leading instructors, including our very own GNB Komichek. So be sure to check that out. And also, if you are writing a novel, you need a little bit of extra assistance, or you've written a novel and you're ready to get published, we do offer story coaching services to help writers get their work cleaned up and get it out the door to get published.
And there's a link to Wordsmith Academy in the description of this video. So if you want to improve your writing skills, definitely click that link and go check out Wordsmith Academy. I do want to shout out, though, maybe like one of the best subplots in all of like film is Inigo Montoya's quest for revenge. I just think it's so cool, and like he trained to face Count Rogan his whole life, and then he finally gets there and he gets taken out kind of like a punk with a dagger thrown in his stomach, but then he pulls himself up and he keeps on saying it over and over again, and then and then he wants them to like offer me money and and offer me power, and then he's like, I want my father back, and it's like, oh geez, man, it's just like so powerful. And this isn't the main story. It's like that. This is like a sidekick to Westley and Princess Buttercup's story, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, easily one of the first times on screen where an effort of will was portrayed with such gravitas. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. You could almost think of this film as there's like a literary trick in your head where you can say Princess Bride is actually the story, the origin story of the new Dread Pirate Roberts, right? And so if you think it in that line, you can watch it as Inigo Montoya's story, or you can think of it as the new king and queen of the land and their origin story. Like every character is sort of replacing another character that exists. There's a position switch going on. But somewhere in my heart, I think that Buttercup and Westley become the new Miracle Max and his wife. I think that's their long arc, is they become those wise people who know about the miracle pills at the end. I'm rewriting a different ending to this film.
There's so many endings that like you could make up in your head and they would be totally canonical.
I want to shout out Vizzini. He's so like inconceivably awesome.
Yes. Wallace Shawn.
No, he's so good, and he thinks he's so smart, but he's such a doofus, and he kind of reminds me of like the Mensa guys that are like almost kind of like CrossFit guys, where they have to like tell you about that they're in Mensa, and yeah, I like the kind of challenge of wits and just all the different trials that Westley has to go through with the sword fight and the hand-to-hand fight with Fezzik and the battle of wits and then the machine, and then he has to he outsmarts Prince Humperdinck at the end and gets him to like surrender without ever lifting the blade. Or well, he did lift the blade, but just only momentarily, never crossing swords.
Oh, To the Pain. The bit about To the Pain is so like a horror movie description that when he stands up, of course you're going to surrender. But the way Humperdinck catches his own sleeves before he sits down, it's such a perfect moment. And if I dare say, it's the kind of moment where only a character named Humperdinck would behave in that way. There's something just perfect about it.
Okay, let's get into the bad. What did we not like about The Princess Bride?
I mean, there's nothing bad about this movie, except it is a little confusing as to the hero is. Like, I've taught a bunch of novel writing classes and tried to map this out against the hero's journey, and it doesn't fit. So who is the hero of The Princess Bride?
It's exactly. Princess Buttercup.
Right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's Buttercup, but it could also be Indigo.
Inigo is the one that fits the best, but it's definitely not Westley.
No.
Yeah, no, he's for sure.
Wesley's the hero of the.
He's not. Why? He doesn't drive forward. In fact, if it wasn't for Inigo, he doesn't even get to move past the midpoint.
Yeah. In fact, he's a tool of Inigo at one point because he takes the miracle pill. Inigo is the one that goes to get it, solves it, uses him. He's a plot device more than anything. The true love moment is a plot device. So is it Buttercup? But does she have enough agency in the film?
She doesn't drive the story forward enough. Unless, Murphy, you have a compelling argument for this.
No.
You just claimed she was the hero.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's because she's at least a fighter, and even though I guess she doesn't really, it's not like she's the one that takes back her freedom. So, but at that point it's Westley. I think Inigo is probably the closest answer.
But
Wesley is the hero of the story. Come on,
Wesley is not the hero of the story. But
he's not. He's not. And Murph, we could argue that she does have a fair amount of agency at a certain point, because once they thought they have taken everything from her, she's like, no, you haven't. My life is my own, and I'll take that from you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is a moment where she has a full arc to say, I won't be somebody's property.
That's true. Right? I was going to say, under my bad, I do have that Princess Buttercup. Feels like she's a little bit underdeveloped. And, she doesn't really help, Wesley, at all, in the fire swamp.
Oh, the ROUS scene is so cringy. I just want her to, my wife would be wrestling that fucking ROUS to the ground. She'd be like, my husband's only made of sticks, and she would have saved me from that. So to see Buttercup just like poke at it with a stick for a bit because it's touching her dress, that part is hard for me to watch. That's definitely not.
Oh, wait, and I have Wesley's feather duster of a mustache. It's,
It's back now, though, George. It's back.
I don't like it, and it slowly gets thicker throughout the movie. Which I guess would happen over 2 days, maybe. I don't think so. No, I don't know. This movie's pretty awesome. It's hard to pick at it.
It's really hard to pull anything bad out of it. Even the Dread Pirate Roberts, I mean, I know I'm bad, but the Dread Pirate Roberts mythos is actually kind of cool. Like the whole story. Because Dread Pirate Roberts was an actual pirate in the Caribbean. And apparently one of the most successful ones who existed. So they actually based this in some sort of history.
I had no idea that was true.
Neither did I until today.
Let's get into the skinny. What's our final grades for The Princess Bride?
Well, The Princess Bride has got to be 6 fingers out of 5 for entertaining fairy tale movies, right? Like, there's no other scale that applies here. It's 6 fingers out of 5.
I can think of a scale that this is as many wishes as you will because it's a perfect film.
Oh, there you go. I give it an A+. This movie's awesome. It's an all-time great. It's damn near perfect. Like, it's so quotable and fun, and I love it. And thankful to my wife for reintroducing me to it, because like I said, I saw it as a kid and didn't really pay attention to. I was just a little bit too young, I think, and to properly appreciate it. Now I can see like this is just a masterclass in filmmaking, storytelling.
The fact that it doesn't fit to conventional storytelling structure is a testament to how fucking good it is. And I grew up with it. I've seen it so many damn times. I have to give it 5 woves. 2 woves out of 5.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and make sure you check out Wordsmith Academy. Link in the description of this video. Until next time, I've been George McHale, joined by Andrew Buckley, GMB Kamichuk, and Murphy. See you next time. Follow us along on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that sort of stuff. Also in the link in the description of this video. All right, peace.